Thank you for clicking that thumbnail over here, Pippi Love You. I appreciate it. Once again, thank you so much for your like, your shares, and your subscribing to this channel. I appreciate it. I definitely know at this moment in time, I cannot do any of these things without you. I know I say it over and over again, but I really and truly do mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for your support. Speaking of support, this is going to be interesting. And I'm trying to think, usually sometimes I tell you to get somebody on the phone, and I think I want to get Steve Harvey on the phone, and I'm like, I don't know. I think I want to get Mary on the phone. Matter of fact, get both of them on the phone. Talk to them, tell them, get them on the phone. This is going to be interesting. You know, over here, I always do it from a different perspective. You know, I just don't have time. As I told you once before, I'm going to tell you again, I don't have time to be going through people's trash. I don't do that. Not at all. And even though we're about to talk about this particular situation, but trust me, all of it is really and truly alleged. I don't know. But what I do know is that I have listened to her once before talk about these things with Steve. And we're going to talk about them again because why they have bobbed to the surface, because Steve Harvey's now wife, Marjorie, ex-husband, is now about to write a tell-all book. And of course, now Mary is coming back up into all of this. It is what it is, you guys, as I said, but we're going to dissect something over here, and we're going to center all of these things around relationships. Now, speaking of relationships, the thing that I like most about Steve Harvey and his relationship with his now wife, Marjorie, what I love most about it, and it's something that I'm definitely always want to have in my relationship, I love the way Steve Harvey compliments his now wife, Marjorie. I mean, I'm here to tell you, I don't know if it's an act or what, but he definitely lets her know how good she looks to him. And she definitely lets him know how much she appreciates it, or that she lets him know that, yes, I know I look good. Like, I like that in the relationship. Like, I mean, what you're in a relationship for? For me, I need to find you physically attractive. It's just what it is. I understand. Call me vain. It's just what it is. Like, I need to, if I'm going to spend the rest of my life with you, then I want to spend the rest of my life looking at you saying, my God, you look good. You know, so I love that about Steve's relationship with Marjorie, the two of them together. All right. Now, another thing that I like about Steve Harvey, and this is not talk about the good and then bring you in with the bad. That's not what this is. Another thing that I like about Steve Harvey is that, you know, he hosted Family Feud. And for me, that was his saving grace. I don't like Steve Harvey as a comedian. I don't like him as an actor. It's just what it is. But for me, when I watch Family Feud, I'm looking at him like, man, he is slapped. Just he's a fool. You know, and I'm looking like, oh my God, I don't believe he got away with saying some of the things he says. Like, that's it. I don't need to listen to him on the radio or anything like that, but I really am truly disappointed about Family Feud. That's just was my place that I went to, that I know that I was going to get some good laughs, and just, I mean, it's just what it is. So now let's talk about relationships. I don't know if any of these things are true or not. I'm just going by what, you know, they have said in publications, said in person, I mean, in public, so on and so forth. So this picture here, and Steve might not be happy about this picture being shown, but it's just what it is. You know, we just have to be wise about the people we choose to be in relationships with, but we'll talk about that too. But see, here's the situation. So this is Mary Shackelford. I'm saying her last name right? I think so. Mary Shackelford. And this is Steve Harvey's second wife. Now, if I understand the gist of the relationship correctly, according to her, and trust me, he has shut down everything she has said. I don't even think this woman can even utter this man's name. Steve Harvey's name. She had alleged way back when, or well, in the video that I saw, but has alleged way back when, that when she met Steve, she didn't know he was married, but they had an affair. Unbeknownst to her, because she thought he was single. She finds out he's married. It is what it is. Somehow or another, they continue to see each other. That relationship, resulted into a marriage in and of itself. They had children together, but that is what it is. We're talking about one thing in particular right here. She said that she gave Steve Harvey $225,000. I think that's what she said in the video, if I'm not mistaken. Something about a comedy club, that she gave him the money so he could start. Fledgling actor or fledgling comedian. And I guess she's looking at it from, and this is just my thoughts, from the perspective of, oh, well, he is a fledgling actor. This could be a good investment, for us. And this could pay off really well. Not quite sure when they allegedly got married, but did they get married in 1995, 96? I think so. I'm not quite sure. But they divorced in the early 2000s, correct? 2004, 2005. See, hold that right there. Do you understand where I'm going? Because I want to talk about this alleged $225,000. So hold that right there. Right there. She meets him. I'm going to say, sweeps her off her feet. Ladies, don't let men or women sweep you off your feet, because if you're swept off your feet, that means you're not grounded. Don't let nobody sweep you off your feet. I understand. Keep your feet on the ground. You understand? So, and she then, whatever happens, they get past this affair and they end up marrying, which means that Steve Harvey had to divorce his first wife to, be with her, right? And they have children. Okay, hold that right there. See, here's another thing that I kind of like about Steve Harvey. He has now created a persona where he talks about, I guess, his take on relationships and about how men and women are in relationships, how they should interact in relationships, so much so that he put out a book, right? Was it Think Like a Man, Act Like a Lady? It's been a while since I read that book. I didn't read all of it, but it was a popular book back then. People read it. It eventually became a hit movie. And there is a part in the book, if I'm not mistaken, where he talks about if you're on a job and you're just not working a job and they put you on probation on your job for 30, 60, 90 days or something like that, in that period of time, you should keep your feet on the ground and everything else, correct? Mary must have not read his book. She must have not read his book at all, since even after divorce. I'm going somewhere. So he had always talked about his point of view about, his relationship. I guess you could say his Christianity, his relationship, how he sees things, how he feels about, his children and how they should behave and carry themselves, how he carries himself. Another thing that I like about Steve, when he says about his mother, I think he said once before, you ain't no good looking dude, but if you, a woman, at the end of the day, no matter how good you look, I'm talking about physically look, but a woman loves a well-dressed man. All right. And I'm saying that because, it's definitely true. I have my sister sometimes and my aunt, the aunt I talk about, who always introduced me to some great music and so on and so forth. Like, at the end of the day, sometimes I tell them to go into my closet and to put, different, articles of clothing together, for me, like fix that up for me. And I promise you, it never, ever fails. Every time I ask them to do that, and they do, and I let my my aunt and my sisters and my older nieces, like when they go to my closet and they say, oh, you wear this with this and this, that, and the other with that, it never fails. I cannot tell you. I go throughout the entire day with women complimenting me about how good I look. And I'm saying to myself, like, I don't know how to put this stuff together. That's not me. But, I say thank you, and I keep moving. And I call them up and say, man, they're like, and they was like, and it's not that they're putting it together, in that regards. It's just the idea that what his mother told him is definitely true. Because, again, women love a well-dressed man. Moving on from that. So I'm going somewhere. So I like that. And then some of the other things that he talks about, I'm kind of like, okay, I don't know. Maybe I agree with you on that. Maybe not so much, so on and so forth. Mary must have not watched the movie or read his book, even now. So I'm thinking about that $225,000. I'm thinking about the fact that she married him after she says he was married. I'm not going to say she's not the scorned woman that she says she is in this relationship. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am going to talk about right now is the fact that when it comes to relationship, especially this day and age, oh my, it is definitely strange how people would get together for some change, And there was a time, obviously, when men ran the household, if you will, and the woman catered to the man in a particular way. It is what it is. I mean, seriously, and it's true. Like even with my mom when she was dating my stepfather, and still today, at the end of the day, my mother, if she's cooking, she'll fix my father his meal. Even today, if he's not eating with us, it don't matter. Hold on. He's getting his plate fixed right now. It's like, and he'll tell her, go, hey, fix me a plate. And she's fixing his plate up, setting it to the side. It's kind of like, or if we go over to her house right now and she has cooked, as old as we are right now, and she would stop us in our tracks and she said, hold on, he ain't ate yet. Y'all don't hold on. Like, for real, my mother would stop us in our tracks. Like, no. You see what I'm saying? So I can understand what Steve is saying about that dynamic in that relationship. I'm going somewhere. We're talking about Mary. But now in relationships, that is not happening. And when I think about women who are saying to themselves, or who are saying now, I'm an independent woman and I don't need a man, we need to be mindful of that. And I'm going to tell you why. Because we're talking about Mary. I'm going to help you out. We're talking about Mary. There's nothing wrong with a woman being independent. You want to be independent. You do. Because now the days of a woman relying solely on a man is not realistic. Actually, it never was realistic, but it's definitely not realistic in this day and time. You're about to lose yourself if you think I'm about to go down a path that you think I'm going down. See, when I'm talking about an independent woman, I'm thinking about a woman who is aware. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like a woman who's aware of, okay, I'm thinking about y'all know me, I do movies every now and then. In Why Did I Get Married to, that movie, when I can't think of her name, but it's the aggressive one, not Sheila. What's the other ones? I can't think of her name right now, but she's the more aggressive one. Michael Jai White's wife. Does it start with a T? Anyway, she is basically saying, "Oh, I count this money. I know what I add this up with this, and if this doesn't add up with that." I'm talking about an independent woman who knows what's going on in her household, who knows at the end of the day, I know where the money coming from. I know the money. At the end of the day, I'm an independent woman because you know what? I know how to take care of myself. See, if something was to have happened to my husband, right? I'm not the woman who just sat back and I don't know, like he did. He ran the household. Like I don't know, what accounts we have. Where was the deed? Where he kept the deed? Like where's the will? Like, see, I'm talking about that independent woman. I'm talking about the independent woman who's aware that at the end of the day, she knows how to take care of herself. It's not the independent woman who says to herself, you know what, I don't need a man because I got all of this going on for me, so I don't need him. No, what's wrong with you, woman? No, we ain't talking about that. We're not talking about that woman. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the same thing goes for a man because, see, I'm telling you, I have an uncle, a great uncle. And guess what that great uncle doesn't know how to do? He doesn't know how to boil water. I'm being honest. Like I have a great uncle. He cannot cook to this day. And so I'm talking about now a man and a woman in this day and age that you know how to handle your business. You know how to be independent. You might not wash clothes in your house, and you might expect your woman to wash your clothes, or take your clothes to the dry cleaners. But at the end of the day, man, you know how to take your clothes to the dry cleaners and you know how to wash clothes. It's just something that you don't do because you're like, you ain't being sexist. You're just saying, well, I'd rather for you to do it. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like I can't do it, but I'd rather for you to do it. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about when I say an independent woman and an independent man. You see, you know how to do things. Like now you know how to do it all is what I'm saying. It's not that you don't need each other. Right. So now I understand in this day and age, I guess if you listen to me now, you say, okay, you sound like you got some old fashioned ways about yourself. It's just what it is. But I'm also talking about the fact now in this day and time, I can understand what people are saying, what women, I guess, are saying, well, I want a man in a particular income bracket. Hey, if that's you and you want a man in a particular income bracket, that's you. You might have eliminated a whole lot of good, decent dudes in your life. But if that's the kind of man you want, that's you. It's the same thing with the man. I don't want a woman in a particular income bracket because if she makes more money than me, I don't want her. You might have eliminated a lot of good women. You see what I'm saying by doing that, but it's fine. But I once heard someone say, and I like it, what can I do with potential? Now, Mary, I'm talking to you now, Mary. Where you at? You right here? Now, Mary, I'm talking to you. Because if in fact it is true and you read Steve's book, then maybe we shouldn't be marrying a man or what's the word I'm looking for, or entertaining a man, Mary, if Steve is a guy at that moment in time with potential. Because if you got $225,000 to give Steve, then Steve ain't the dude for you. Oh, but he has potential, yeah, and you invested, if that's the case, your $225,000 in him, and look where it got you. Do you understand what I'm seeing? That's why I'm doing it a little tad bit different, because this is just how I'm seeing it for myself and how I'm relating it to me. What I'm saying right now is that you wouldn't have been in this particular situation if you would have had gotten a man who had money, allegedly. Because you're saying, I guess, at this one time, Steve really didn't have any, allegedly. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm thinking about waiting to exhale when Bernie says, well, I always thought that if I gave him what he needed, he'd give me what I needed. Mm-mm. You see what I'm saying? So now I get it. So now, even at this moment in time, I'm saying to myself, like, nah, what can you? What I'm at this. You have not offended me at all. If you look at me and you size me up and say, well, what can he do for me? I ain't mad about that anymore. I'm like, oh, okay. But see, here's the thing. Now what I'm saying to myself is, it's like, okay, well, yeah, I might need to get my money up the way I want it if I really and truly want to entertain, being in a relationship. But now you got to understand something. If I'm going to be a mind up, because I'm good with me, but if you going, what can you bring to the table? So if you mad at Steve because you helped him at a moment in time in your life when he didn't have what you had, I'm not going to say it's your fault, but I'm going to say it's your fault. We'll talk about him in a minute. But do you understand where I'm going with this? Because now you have given over to this man and there's nothing. You're getting nothing. You're getting nothing. And then you have those women. I ain't going nowhere. All this stuff that I done build up and I done dressed this man up and I done made him look good, so on and so forth. Women, I done heard a whole lot of you say that. And I'm saying to myself, you going to stay here and take this? Yeah, I done put up, shoot. I done put them together. I done dressed them up, made them look good. Go back to this Tasha. Go back to Tasha when she said, and you think I want another woman to all that on the job training? Do you see what I'm saying? And I'm like, and you need to let them go. So let's talk about that. So now when I'm thinking about Mary, I'm saying to myself, if in fact it's true that you are that woman, let's say you didn't know he was married. It's what it is. I got to the point now, understanding this thing called love, and we out here in this relationship game. It just is what it is right now. You just got to be mindful of how you gonna play the rules. You ain't got to play everybody's rules. You ain't got to do it. See me, my rules is I choose to be genuine. I choose to be upfront. That's me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and sometimes people think that you're a little naive and gullible, and then all of a sudden they did you wrong, and then they look at you and realize, you really was the real deal. Yeah, I'm the real deal. I'm the real deal. I'm not naive. I'm not gullible. I just know who I am out here in this thing called love. And I'm okay with that. So if you want to say, oh no, you okay, see, I don't want to go down that road. So then I have to ask myself, if in fact it's true that she did this. It's true that she has supported him. It's true that he did her wrong. It's true that she was this woman who had, I'm talking about this $225,000 too. Then I stopped as I've been thinking about this and I said, well, how did she lose herself? How did she lose herself? How does a woman like that who has been able to amass that to meet a guy and I guess forgive him because, he done flat out, lied to you allegedly. And then you go into a relationship and then you get to a point that you are going back and forth with this man to the point that he allegedly now have to put you in a place where you can't even speak his name. And if you started out being this woman who supported him and appreciate him. How did you get to this point? And I don't know. Might not even be true. I'm saying all this is alleged, and this is just me talking about relationships. So I'm trying to help you out here, people. Because you lose yourself in people, don't we? You know, we if I give him what he needs, he'll give me what I need. When I forgave him, he's a liar. So on and so forth. You can't turn a blank into a housewife. You understand what I'm saying? I don't love them. You know where I'm going. And so you're looking like, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, how did she lose herself then? How does a woman who's able to do all of that, able to forgive, she's able to forgive, she has money, she's supporting a man who she feels like she could have a good future with. If it's true that she didn't know, but because we're out here in this thing called love, we're playing this game called love. If she didn't know and he has already pulled on her heartstrings and done swept her off her feet, then it might not be as easy as most people think sometimes. Some people are not just that easy to go like, shake it off. Shake it off. Shake it off. Got to shake it off. Shake it off. Do you understand what I'm saying? So then I have to ask myself about her. So you done lost your way, ma'am? That you're going back and forth, and I guess you know he's done you wrong, you say, and he's done all of these horrible things to you, and he's taken your child away from you, you say. He's done all of these things to you, and he done shut you down where you can't speak his name or talk anything ill about him or talk about your story. Your story. Because he has an image to protect, and allegedly, you know, there are some reports saying that he didn't leave you destitute. That he didn't do it. And you was too busy marrying him and thinking that it was going to pay out for you. That, as Medea said, you was too busy doing all that, but you wouldn't look there looking at the deed. Checking the deed. You weren't looking at the accounts. He was. Allegedly. Oh, y'all making me tired. And then you have a son, and now you're saying he's took away your child from you. And so you're left with nothing. And now you're bitter, and you're angry, and you're mad. And as I was thinking about this and how it was playing out in my mind, and if I were you, I mean, if you were sitting in front of me and I was counseling you, I would say, ma'am, you done lost yourself. You done lost yourself in this. You have forgotten who you are. You forgot the woman you were before you met him if you had all of this. If you are the woman you say you were before you met him. I didn't know he was married. Okay, we forgive you. Forgive yourself. I gave him $225. He started his life, and then he snatched all of that away from me. He kept me out of what was rightfully mine. You did it before, you can do it again. But that's you done did it before, you can do it again. Oh, you hurt me real bad. In time, you will heal. You've forgotten who you are. But he has my child and turned my child against me. Ma'am, in time, you will heal. You have to know now. You have to get back to the place of who you are. Because we, and it can happen to a man as well, lose ourselves in relationships. And if Steve is the man he says he is, that he talks about, and he in his book, so on and so forth, he wasn't emotionally available to you. Now, this is the part of the story, ma'am. What I would say to you, I started to think about certain women in particular who have gone through what Mary here has gone through. And the first person that came to my mind, because we talk about R&B divas over here, the first person that came to my mind was Melba Moore. Do you guys remember Melba Moore, an R&B diva? Who, and all of this is alleged, but you can look at it in publications. She's talked about it several times herself. I think her husband at the time name was Bo Huggins or Higgins or something like that. And this guy, he is a music executive, and he's pretty much responsible for starting Hush Productions. Hush Productions that gave us Freddie Jackson, Rock Me Tonight for Old Time's Sake, You Are My Lady, that Freddie Jackson. Kashif is the guy who's responsible for producing Whitney Houston's song, You Give Good Love, among other songs he's produced for Melba Moore herself, as well as Melissa Morgan, who had a hit record back out in the day, the very popular Do Me Baby, a remake of Princess Do Me Baby, who pretty much did her, that's pretty much about the same way. Melba Moore husband. Yep, check her out, Melba Moore. And so allegedly, they had amassed, I don't know, I'm going to say maybe somewhere about $25 million together. And he divorced her, according to her. Signed her name on paperwork, that she didn't sign, forged her signature, she says. Did a whole lot of stuff to her. And snatched her $14-15 million away from her, she alleged. And pretty much left her destitute to the point where she had to get on welfare. Not only that, he allegedly took their daughter away from her and kept her going back and forth to court and even put her in jail, allegedly, for all of this back and forth. A similar story. Melba Moore says in order to do this, to deal with this, the first thing she did, she said, well, she's a scholar of the Bible. She started reading her Bible, getting back into her faith. That was the first thing she said she did. She also said about her relationship with this guy, and I think I'll probably talk about her, so I don't want to talk much about it, but that what had drawn her to him was the way he cared for her mother, and took care of her mother. So that was one of the things that she felt good about. But anyway, long story short, he did all of these things to her. Guess where this man is? Allegedly, I think he ended up eventually going to jail because of some legal things, allegedly, that he was accused of doing. And some of those artists that we talked about, he ended up doing some of those financial things to them as well. It eventually came out over the years. Melba Moore said that when she started to forgive him, she started looking better. And she's put out more records since then. She's acted in some movies. She's moved on with her life. She's doing shows and everything right now. She has recovered in a way that, God has seen fit for her to recover at this moment in time in her life. And even though their daughter probably had to live with her after he went to jail for a period of time, they pretty much said she doesn't talk about it and I don't talk about it. Melba Moore, similar story. Another lady who went through the same thing, another R&B diva, Pebbles, with L.A. Reid. We all know about that story. How allegedly L.A. Reid did Pebbles, according to her. Same thing, financial, all of that. Scandalized her name, made her look bad. That's what she says. Or she got the raw end of the deal. Another R&B diva who had gone through some similar things as Mary, Angela Winbush, with her relationship with Ronald Isley. Pretty much the same story. Everything that we're talking about, these are similar stories to Mary's. And each one of them has said, you know what? They got through it by believing and trusting in the Lord and forgiving it and letting it go and realizing the women who they knew they were. And they got back to being those women again. I'm just saying. Another woman that has happened to, Tina Turner, is another lady. How she has dealt with similar things. And you know what Tina said? Oh, Ike, but I worked hard for that name, but you can keep all that. I know who I am. I know my name. I know who I am. I know my name. I worked too hard for it. I want to be responsible for all that. I forget that. Same, as a matter of fact, as I realized Angela Winbush was quoted as saying the same thing in a publication once before. She was saying, I could do without the cars, I can do without the houses, I can do without the yachts, I can do without all those things. I don't need those things. I'm just going to focus on taking care of my mother and my aunt and me, and I'm good. And these women are now empowered in their lives and empowering others and us pretty much around the people who did them wrong and being their wonderful, fabulous, blessed selves, because God is a restorer. So what I would say to Mary, have you gotten back to yourself yet? Have you gotten back to yourself, to the woman who you know you are? Who you were before all of this happened to you? What you were able to build with him, you can build with yourself. That's what I would say. Now let's talk about Steve. Oh, child, y'all making me tired. The only thing I could think of about Steve in the midst of all of this, as it relates to relationship, and some of you guys probably go like, I ain't never thought about that. See, we think about things differently over here. Let's go back to what I was saying about Steve's relationship with Marjorie. You remember I told you how much I love their interactions. No need to repeat that again. And as I was sitting here thinking to myself, I was like, well, not sitting here earlier in the day, I was sitting and thinking to myself about, how I thought about this story. And you know what I said to me? Just bear with me. If in fact it is true, that Steve Harvey knew Marjorie before all of these women, or his first two wives, and he told her he found her attractive, right? Okay. And the way he interacts with her, is it true? Do you think, for one moment, and I'm just asking now, do you think it's possible that Steve Harvey ended up with the woman he always wanted? That he didn't want his first wife, he didn't want his second wife, but Marjorie, the woman he saw, even met way back when, I'm going to assume before all of these, that maybe this is the woman he always, because we always have that one that we say got away. Right? And if in fact it is true, because now we're talking about Steve Harvey's book and we're talking about all this stuff. If in fact it is true that Marjorie, when we ain't saying she ain't messing with no broke, you understand what I'm saying? Well, we ain't saying she's a gold digger, but we know she ain't messing with no broke. We talk about Marjorie, right? If we're saying that about her, allegedly. So if she's a woman who has come accustomed to being taken care of, like, hey, listen, I ain't got time for that. What? Let's just say she's that woman. And when she met Steve, she was like, oh, that's cute. Oh, you think I'm cute? Oh, that's cute. And that's all she said, probably. And now she kept going about her business, being who she was, doing what she was doing. And then all of a sudden, Steve is now in a position where, all right, I mean, I got all of this stuff. And Marjorie is like, oh, okay. I mean, hey, how you doing? What's up? Oh, blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay, I'm good. You can support all of this. Yeah, and you willing to do all of this? Yeah. Still? Yeah, all right, I'm good then. Do you see? So is it true that Steve Harvey is probably not lying about this? We talking about relationships. Yeah, he gets the woman that he wanted all this time. But see, there's another dynamic to this relationship thing that I find interesting. Not just here, just talking about in general. We're talking about in general. I don't, like I say, I don't deal with trash, but we using this to talk about relationships. So if in fact certain children in this particular relationship, they're not being treated well, we all know men and women, after they leave relationships and they have children in those relationships, end up disliking the children because the children remind them so much of the person that they had the child with, to the point where it's like, I'm disgusted by your mom or your dad, to the point where I don't even like you. I mean, we talking about the real deal thing here. I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but we throwing stuff out there. Really? I mean, that could happen. Yes, it can happen. It happens. So we're talking about women who would use children against the husband or the father. Now men are doing it. Oh no! Wait a minute. I can have the kids and not pay all this child support. You mean tell me I can have the kid or the children? Oh well, come on. It's a no-brainer. I mean, I am the father. So you mean to tell me? Because if you get them, you gonna take me down through there too. Do you understand what I'm saying? So now, Steve, if it's true, so now it's time for you to heal, Steve, if it's true, allegedly. So now I would say, if in fact it is true, because either you've done people wrong allegedly, and you got to hear from this. Because if you don't hear from, that's why if you don't heal with this, it's always going to keep popping up, keep popping up, keep popping up. You ain't healed. I didn't think about that. Maybe it's not healing. Maybe it's something that you just need to do right or do differently. And you keep doing it again and again and again. Now that's not how that should be done. Do it this way or do it that way, but not the way you're doing it. Maybe it's that. I don't know. I don't know. But I do know at the end of the day, we are responsible for ourselves. So maybe in this particular situation, there's some healing that needs to take place. So I would say to Miss Mary Shackelford, who are you? Do you know who you are? Go back to that place before you met him and say, wait a minute, that's the woman I was, and this is the woman I want to be. I would say that. Give it over to God. Let him heal you and fix it and make it good. Yeah. It's always interesting over here. My take on things. You know. Mm-hmm. And I'm just being me. It's just what it is. Well, I already know what's about to happen. Thank you so much, you guys. So much for watching, for subscribing, for liking, for sharing, for commenting, for doing all of that. Thank you so much. Over here at Pepe La View, where we believe, the viewers, all of us believe, and putting our behind where our heart desires to be. Yes. And remember, whenever I leave my mother's presence, she always says to me, she says, baby, remember, I love you, but God loves you best. And on that note, I'm looking forward to seeing you all next video. And until then, you know what you need to do. Take care of yourselves out there now.